Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on a brand new show! So, starting Sasaki and Miyano. So, I have had this show recommended way before it was even confirmed to be an anime. I started this channel originally back in May of 2020, and then I had to restart it in December of 2020 because of copyright, things like that, stuff that happened. But way back when I was watching Given and Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, I had several requests for shows, and one of them that came up was Sasaki and Miyano, and at the time, it had not been confirmed to be adapted into an anime, and so this was back in fall of 2020, and I was like, I don't know if I want to react to a manga on here right now. Maybe I'll get around to reading it at some point. Long story short, I did not get around to reading the manga, and then as soon as they announced that it was going to be an anime, I was like, okay, well, I'll wait, and then put it on a poll and see if it wins. And here we are. So I just finished Link Click, and this is taking the spot of Link Click, and I'm watching a lot of heavy stuff right now. So this is actually probably going to be like one of the best things that'll happen this spring, is because I'm watching some really heavy, depressing. It's about two characters, Sasaki and Miyano. That's all I know. I know one guy likes, obviously he will fall for Sasaki, the other guy, who's the redhead. That's the only thing I know about the show. I know nothing else about it. I'm going in blind. I've never read the manga. I don't know anything about it. I'm a big person that don't spoil me. I like to be surprised, but I'm so excited to be watching like a happy, fluffy, good time show. I don't know when the last time I've watched a really feel good time show. Maybe Free. Maybe Free is like one of my comfort animes. And so maybe it's been since then. It's been a while, but I'm really excited. So yeah, this was voted for on Patreon. It won. It's 12 or 13 episodes, so it's not going to be a long season. Just a nice little stretch of happiness against the dark gloom and despair that are with the other shows I'm watching. So it looks like it'll be a welcome addition, but I'm pretty excited. So I'll be giving you all my reaction to it. I'll react to the episode, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it at the end. So hopefully y'all are on board. I'm pretty excited, but let's not waste any more time, shall we? We are going to jump right in here and start this episode 1, First Time. Interesting, all right? And we're going to start this here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Okay, oh my god. Oh my gosh, this was adorable. This was so cute. And I have a feeling I'm going to need this. I'm going to need this to like, after I'm done watching a horrific, depressing episode of Attack on Titan. I'm gonna need this to get like help me get my spirits back. This was adorable. Okay, so Wushin on Patreon sent me in through the Discord a list of the main characters and their voice actors. Obviously, I don't know all of them yet, but so Sasaki is not. She's noted that Sasaki is voiced by Shirai Yusuke, who's done a lot of supporting roles and has done a few main roles, but they're not in any anime I've really watched. So. Which I didn't recognize his voice. When they started singing, I thought I recognized Miyano. Miyano is Saito Soma. So that's Yamaguchi from Haikyuu, whose voice, it was Liam, Moriarty from Moriarty the Patriot, Mafiu from the Given Drama CD. How fitting. How fitting. And then Hirano is Inosuke from Demon Slayer. That's interesting. So Yoshitsugu. And then Itsuki from Stars Align. Okay. And then Mio from Umibe, which is weird because Mio and Hirano, totally different characters. And then the other characters we've not met yet. So, oh my gosh, but apparently the guy that plays Ash from Banana Fish and Ueno Yama from Given and Fushiguro from Jujutsu Kaisen, his voice actor's in this. I wonder if he's the basketball player. I don't know. I don't think we've met him yet. And then, yeah, there's not really... The only other voice actor I know is there's Watson from Moriarty the Patriot and Kuga from Stay Gold. And Issa Shiki from Diamond No Ace is another voice actor. But, oh my gosh. And the ED is sung by Yusuke and Saito Soma. So, okay. Very, very cool. Oh my gosh, this was adorable. I absolutely loved this. So it's very stylistic. I like that, first of all. It's very stylistic. I like that they include like the manga, because you think of like a shoujo or where there's like all the shapes and colors. And we've talked about this on the Discord through Patreon. We've talked about this. The idea that triangles seem like they might be representative of something to do with BL and boys love, because you see it in Given a lot. Like I did through my Given soapbox, there was like a lot of talk about triangles and like their representation, and there's some kind of symbolism perhaps. And they use that a lot. There's like lots of geometric shapes. It's very cute. It's very fluffy. I love it. I'm not gonna lie, there were two references. This is coming right after Janu Yaoi on my channel, so there were two references. I thought of two yaoi series while watching this. So I was like, oh, and one of them I was like, oh, cool. One of them was like, oh no. The very beginning here with the sunflowers, I'm re-going through the episode. The very beginning with the sunflowers, I instantly thought of Sex Pistols and McBear and the sunflowers with Teruhiko and McBear. I was like, no, let's not have a repeat of that. And honestly, Miyano's eyes are so huge, the way that they're drawn. I kind of had that Love Pistols vibe for a hot second, and I was like, oh, but this is much better. Much better than Sex Pistols already. Much better already. So yeah, we have our main character. That was the first yaoi reference that I thought of with the series. But we have our main character, Miyano, here, who witnesses this fight, these school bullies. So they're at an all-boys school. Very much like Daokusei, which I like. I love Daokusei. So I love the vibe of that. They're an all-boys school, and these guys are beating up this kid. And so at first I was like, why is he calling Hirano? But Hirano, I'm assuming, is the class president, like the upper class president. So I'm wondering if Miyano is a first year or a second year. Maybe we'll find out. And if Sasaki and Hirano are second years or third years. Either way, even if they're second years, he called Hirano because he's an upperclassman and he's head of the committee that he's a part of. So he's like, if there's anybody, and it's the discipline committee. So that explains why he called Hirano. He was like, hey, there's a fight going on. You need to come down and break it up. Makes perfect sense. But I also like Miyano is kind of like an otaku. He really loves boys love BL stories. And he's like, man, a fight in an all-boys school. This never happens in your standard BL stories. Like he's just imagining all these scenarios of what could possibly happen and how it relates to like the stories that he's read. And I love that he's wearing the blue vest. It reminded me of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. He's wearing the blue vest. He likes to read. And then who shows up but our tall, redhead, beast-like character Sasaki, who is not what he seems at all. Interesting. He comes across as like cool and dashing and very brave, but then the more you get to know him, he's kind of a nerd and he's really soft on the inside and sweet. So, and Miyano's kind of the opposite. He comes across looking very timid and meek, but he likes bitter things and he has like a strong sense of resolve. And we'll talk about that with the Uke character. We'll talk about that and that how he saves them. But yeah, we get the idea that Sasaki liked Miyano from day one. It was love at first sight. He just didn't really know what to call it. And Miyano had this impression of him, but it was instantly like changed the more he gets around Sasaki. And he's like, oh, 3 months later, yeah, the more he gets around him, he's like, you're kind of clingy and you like getting really physical and this is not what I expected. And he calls him cute and everything. He's very handsy and clingy. Interesting. Interesting indeed. But yeah, so I really like this episode setting up Sasaki and Miyano as two characters because they appear one way, but their attitudes and personalities are totally the opposite of what you expect, right? And it kind of relates to the BL stories that Miyano is talking about and that he tells Sasaki about when they're in the hallway together. So yeah, I love that the idea that they're at this all-boys school and the stylistic part of it. I really like that. And then, yeah, he wants to read something. That should have been the telltale sign at first. When Sasaki said that he'd read his sister's shoujo manga, I was like, you read it and you decided from reading that you wanted to read more? Okay. Color me intrigued. And that gets Miyano's attention because Miyano reads lots of manga. So he's like, what do you recommend? And I love that he's like, a normie would ask this. He's like, it's like picking your favorite genre. How dare you ask such like a pedestrian question? I love it. I love it. But he ends up, I love he has the tiny bag that has the A on it. Like it's like the secret bag, like so you can't see what it is. And there's an A on it. So I wonder what maybe Miyano's first name has an A on it. Or maybe that's the store he gets it from. But I love his little hair thing twitches. I feel like it's just straight out of the manga. I love it. This is all I have with me. And he's like, oh, okay, sure. And he's like, only read it in your room. This is not for public readings. And I feel sad that he's embarrassed. Treat it like it's a toxic substance. I feel sad that he's embarrassed at this all-boys school because he doesn't want people to know what he reads and what he likes. But he trusts Sasaki, and Sasaki's like, okay, I liked it. What else you got? So that's really good. Yeah. And then I just love all the shapes and everything around him. And then he read the manga. And then I liked it as he's saying at the scene at the end with the two guys in the hotel. And at that point, the guy like turns around that's in the background and Miyano's like, stop talking. No. And then there was one bed, right? I love that he like corners him. He's like, this is important. Always avoid discussing scenes like that in front of people. And I like that he makes Sasaki like crouch down. He looks so small, and he looks so small crouched down there. But I am sad. It makes me sad here that Miyano hides that part about him, that he hides what he really likes to try and just get Sasaki to try to hide it. Because I'm like, that's really sad. And it's like they're both hiding things that they like. Miyano is hiding the fact that he likes these BL series, and Sasaki is hiding the fact that he likes Miyano. So it's interesting. It's curious. You have these two guys trying to hide parts of each other from each other. And he says it's embarrassing, and he's like, okay, yeah, I got it. And I'm thinking that's maybe going to tie in. If we're going to have any angst in this series, it's going to tie into the fact that maybe Sasaki doesn't want to admit that he likes Miyano because he's afraid of like Miyano not accepting that love or not reciprocating it, right? Because they are at an all-boys school. So interesting. And then he's like, I've never read that kind of manga before. Sasaki telling Miyano that. It did catch me off guard, but it was good. And Miyano's like, oh my gosh. All right. And I love that the light reflecting in Sasaki's eyes. Like, there's little hints throughout this episode of just how much Sasaki likes Miyano. And this is like the really big first one where you see Miyano reflected in Sasaki's eyesight. So cool. And then he like does the whole thing where he's like trying to like be like, I thought it was a normal detective story. And when he said that, I'm like, is this fake? Is it fake? Because that's one of our Janyu Yaoi picks we had for this year. I wanted to get that cover up close again and see it. But then it was guys together, which that's fake. It seems like a normal detective story, but it's two guys together and it's totally treated like an okay thing. And then, yeah. Oh my God, I think it is. Oh my God. Despite all the hard stuff the protagonist went through. Despite all of that, yeah, he resolved himself in a really cool way and moved through his burdens. I really liked that story. Okay. And Miyano with the little blush, he's like, exactly. Yeah, he's like that character. And so he describes that character as a physically receptive character called an uke. All right. And I like that this whole episode is like starting to explain terminology within the BL world, like explaining it to Sasaki who doesn't know. So, and he's like, okay, the uke is pretty much given to tears and cute, but the mentally manly one is him. And that's the big thing about this episode. I wanted to go back to it ever since he says that. Miyano relates so much to the main character because he thinks of himself like that. He thinks that he's the uke. He's like, I give in to tears and he seems really cute, but he's the mentally manly one. Which is funny because I think that's true. I think that Miyano comes across as really cute and meek and timid, but inside he's very resilient and tough and very like, he's got a good resolve. I think the opposite is Sasaki. Sasaki has this demeanor where he looks like a delinquent, according to everybody else, and he seems tough, but he's really sweet on the inside, sweet and bubbly, and he thinks Miyano's cute, and he like actually likes maybe cutesy things, and he just doesn't give off that appearance. And he seems to be the more mentally like sensitive one of the two, right? Miyano, I think, is the more mentally tough one, and Sasaki is the more like frail one as terms. Because yeah, when he's doing like the neck thing and everything, it's like, sure, yeah. I like that part at the end where they all get together. I love this. He's like, that's also my favorite part. It's like, and he's got the cute little mole. Miyano has a cute little mole by his eyes. The way that expresses the character's happiness is well done. And he's like, yeah, and Sasaki's like, And then, yeah, Miyano's like, well, I was nervous to give it to you because it was a BL, but... And that's when Sasaki's like, he's really, really cute. And Miyano just keeps going on. He's like, the author's couple have unusual happiness and la la la. And he's like, he's just so cute. And Sasaki's just like, yep. Try and don't mind me. Don't mind me fangirling about you, sir. I just want to read more of your manga. And yeah, I like that anytime Sasaki talks to Miyano, there's like flowers everywhere. And when Miyano sees Sasaki, it's like geometric shapes. So it's a little bit different. And I love establishing the differences between them. Like Miyano doesn't like sweet things. He likes things that are more bitter and sour. And Sasaki likes things that are super, super sweet. Like they're very different. They're total opposites, but opposites attract, right? You even have down to the main characters that have the black hair and the orange hair. It's like Wainiyama and Mafuyu, Kageyama and Hinata from Haikyuu. Speaking of Haikyuu, we have these two other characters. And it was like Akashi and Kinma, like instantly, with the Kinma character with the blonde hair and the roots showing, and then the Akashi hair looking guy with the glasses. Fun times. And they're all thrown off by the fact that Sasaki is like spending quality time with Miyano. So that's interesting. Very much indeed. But yeah, and Hirano is the protector of Miyano. I love this. I love that Hirano is like dedicated to protecting Miyano. He's like, I'll keep you away from that delinquent. Don't let him get handsy. I love Hirano's character so far and how he's just trying to protect Miyano, his secretary of the committee. I love it. And I love that when they talk about, when they're on the staircase and Sasaki's talking about his likes and Miyano has a little notebook like recording his tastes for reference. It's so cute. This whole series just looks like it's gonna be pure sugar, and I'm so ready for it. I need it. I'm excited. And they're just like, yeah, they're just talking about what they like and dislike. That sweet stuff affects his stomach, and he doesn't like it. And they just get to know each other more. And so then, yeah, we cut back and forth between the past and the present in this, and I love like the nonverbal gestures that Sasaki gives off is very telling. Like throughout, like he constantly like rubs his head, like grabs his neck, does this, like he crouches down, like he's very physical with his body language. He communicates very non-verbally, and so even when he's not saying anything, you can kind of tell how he's feeling. And I love that he does like the thing with his hands. I said it in the reaction, but the character Tsukishima in Haikyuu, Furudate constantly draws him with like his hands doing like this, like when he's nervous. And that seems like something that the author draws him doing that. It's very interesting. I like it a lot. I like that we get those little tiny nuances. And then, yeah, at the time, Sasaki was like, you can't handle this fight. And we cut back to the past, and when he flips Miyano around, it's love at first sight. And this whole time, Sasaki keeps going on about, like, trying to justify his crush, saying, well, Miyano's kind of like a girl. Like, Miyano seems soft and delicate, and he's a guy, but he's a guy. And as it goes on, he keeps realizing, he's like, no, it's not a girl, it's a dude. And he, like, grabs Miyano's shoulders and, like, tests it out. And he's like, no, he's as solid as rock. He's a guy. So it's interesting watching Sasaki in this episode work through his emotions and realizing that, yeah, I may like this guy. I don't know how else to explain it, but I think that's what's happening. And him trying to just, like, reason what's going on and try to come to terms with those feelings. I really like it. And I love them on the train too, the train scene where they're going to school together and they both question, realizing that their travel to work is about the same, travel to school rather. There's another scene here I want to find, and it's a scene where they're talking about what he likes. The umbrella scene, oh my god, of course the umbrella scene where they go into the umbrella together. I love it. And then the rain, the sunlight through the rain, it's just such a perfect metaphor. I love it. It's great. So yeah, but there's a scene where they're talking about their likes and dislikes. I wish I could find it again going through this episode. But yeah, it's the baking thing where they talk about cooking. And Miyano questions whether Sasaki really likes to cook or not. And Sasaki's like, well, no, not really, but baking's different. And I was like, yes, I totally relate to Sasaki because I am not a cook. I don't like cooking, but I do like to bake. And it is different. There's something different about it. And I also like that he addresses that his mom and his sister like take care of most of the stuff. So he ends up just like setting the table. I can totally relate to that. Like most of the women in my family, they take care of all the cooking and stuff. And then they're like, oh, here, you can do this one thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I totally related to Sasaki in this episode. I was like, I get what you're putting down. I get it. Absolutely. And definitely relate to Sasaki in this. But it was so cute. And then like all the thing with the sports drinks, they did the umbrella in the rain. They did the indirect kiss between the bottle. Like we're covering all the tropes right off the bat. And I'm surprised that Miyano doesn't make commentary about it, especially like the indirect kiss of the bottle and the umbrella. Like he doesn't say this is like a BL story. Like he doesn't do that. I feel like this series is what I wanted Nozaki-kun to be. I really do, because the very first thing I reacted on my old channel was Nozaki-kun, and unfortunately, I was an idiot because I just started reactions and I didn't save or back up any of my Nozaki-kun reactions, so I don't have any of them still. I'm really bummed about it. It's really sad. But my whole big thing about Nozaki-kun was it was such a tease. Like, there'd be like little hints of maybe romance, but it would just be subtext. You'd have to just fill in the gaps. No, this is text. This is text. It's real. I love it. It's adorable. This is everything I wanted Nozaki-kun to be. And it is it. And I'm like, finally, yes, quit teasing us and just give us this adorableness with these two characters. And for Sasaki to actually be like, yeah, no, I like him. So what do I do with these feelings now? I'm just gushing. I love it so, so much. And so, yeah, we have in the ED these characters we've not met yet that I'm sure will come back throughout this thing. I'm wondering if the guy with the blue spiky hair, if that is the basketball guy that Hirano is roommates with, or if it's the other guy with the brown hair. I don't know. I'm assuming we'll get more with these characters. It's funny. It's like any classic BL series. You have like 3 pairs of guys, and we'll just follow them all on different journeys. But I have a feeling this is mostly going to be Sasaki and Miyano. But, oh my gosh. So yeah. So we have it confirmed. Sasaki likes Miyano. What is he going to do about these feelings? Is Miyano going to be receptive about it? Because Miyano likes BL series, but does Miyano like guys? That's the question. Would he like Sasaki back? That's the big thing. So, I'm so curious, but this was just pure sugar, and I loved it. I absolutely think it's adorable, and I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy this series. So thank you all so much for voting for this, because after, like I said, I feel like this is, I've always had on my channel like a comfort anime throughout. Like I had Run with the Wind, I've had Free. Since Free though, I've not really had, Skate the Infinity would be a comfort anime. I would say that after Free, but Free lasted longer than Skate, so ever since Free ended, I haven't really had like a comfort anime that's been like, because you could argue Violet Evergarden is wholesome, but it's really sad too, and like a tearjerker. And I just need something that's been like a comfortable, like warm blanket. And that's what this show feels like. And I need it. It's February. It's needed. So I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. Please no spoilers, but I'm so excited to get into this series. I'm so excited to see what our beautiful redhead and adorable Miyano get up to, but we shall see. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. I hope you all enjoyed the reaction, and I'll be back next week with episode 2 of Sasaki and Miyano. Bye.